These days, it feels like you'd have to be living on the moon to avoid the concept of wellness, a word that seems to be everywhere. And whilst I'd like to think that I've always had a pretty balanced lifestyle, my conscious efforts to be healthy have suddenly skyrocketed. Obviously, this is great news, but there is one tiny problem, in that I don't really have a clear idea of what wellness is all about. And as a result, I find myself lost in the supplement aisle, unmotivated at the gym, and buried in piles of conflicting information. So this series will follow my personal quest to demystify the world of wellness. I'm going to be meeting with experts in the fields of health and human behavior to try and get to the bottom of what wellness actually is. And with their wisdom safely in my basket, I'll be testing out the theory on my mind, body, and soul, in the hopes of finding out what on earth is wellness. If you want to join me on this journey, subscribe to the British Vogue YouTube channel to ensure you never miss an episode. I moved from New York City to LA earlier this year, gave up most of my vices and unhealthy habits, and dove headfirst into all Los Angeles had to offer. From cryogenics to aura readings, vitamin injections to crystal baths, if it's meant to do me good, I'm there with bells on. So I guess a big part of this journey for me is evaluating this blind enthusiasm for all things well, in the hope of improving upon my current kid-in-a-candy-store approach. Obviously, Los Angeles is just like wellness capital. And, you know, if someone tells me it's good, then I'm gonna try it out. I'm kind of a sucker for that. And it's sort of embarrassing that I'll get full like vitamin IV drips like in my veins. Maybe I am kind of overdoing it. You know, I'm trying just to make up for years of me not making the best well choices. Wellness was introduced to me pretty early on in life. I think my mom is a pretty typical well person. You know, she was brought up here in California in the 70s, and I feel like that's kind of when that all started, that awareness of wellness. And growing up in France, I could tell it was a little bit different. Like, none of my friends had ever seen a smoothie before, and she was really into smoothies and sprouts and wraps. So pretty healthy base. Then I moved out of my parents' house, and then it was still, I think, pretty healthy in France. I think it's quite easy to be healthy there. And then it's when I moved to New York, I was definitely a lot less healthy there. You know, being away from home and trying to meet new people and going out a lot. In France, my ex-boyfriend and I would go out. I think Tuesday nights were our nights where we'd we'd go to like a cute little restaurant. It was like such a big deal. And in New York, everybody goes out all the time, so you don't know what you're eating really because you didn't cook it. I became terrified of being alone there, which is really odd. I was constantly had to go out, and I used to cherish being alone so much. And so just at one point I decided, I was like, this is just not making me as happy as I'd like to be, and I need to like reconnect with me. So I came out here, and I'm turned into a grandmother. I'm go to bed really early, and I wake up early, and I, you know, go to yoga, and I meditate, and I've become cliche Los Angeles grossness, but I love it, and it works for me. And yeah, it's really just a journey for me of trying to achieve like total wellness and happiness. Are you filming this?
Most of my friends quit smoking. Everybody kind of wants me to quit, but also they're like, we can't imagine you without a cigarette in your mouth. It's like become who you are, and that's so sad. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, my God, it's my thing. What if I don't have that thing anymore? It's so depressing. I wish my thing was something else. I know that I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for, doing a show about wellness and being a smoker, and then probably all these people we're gonna meet are gonna give me a hard time about it, and I'm ready for it. Bring it on, make me feel terrible, because I don't know why I'm still doing it.
To gain some perspective on this current healthy living craze, I wanted to learn a little more about the history of wellness and how the term emerged into the mainstream. Luckily enough, Dr. John Travis, founder of the world's first wellness center, is still active in the field and kindly flew down to help us out with a little wellness history.
The good old days. We had parties with our clients and staff. This is our biofeedback practitioner hugging one of our clients. So it was touchy-feely in the 70s. It was in that little house, downtown Mill Valley, the kind of ghetto of wealthy people. I figured if people have reached material success and they're not happy, maybe they'll try something else and they can afford to pay for it.
So how did the wellness center originate?
My dad was a country doctor in a small farming town, and I loved how people loved him. So I thought, well, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor like my daddy. I was age 5, it's about 1948. And interestingly, that's the same year the World Health Organization published their statement of that health is much more than the absence of disease. That inspired Halbert Dunn, who wrote the book High Level Wellness. That was the Bible. And there's a little book, it was written in 1961. I found it in 1971. And it changed my life. It was like, wow, that's what I want to do.
High Level Wellness was an overlooked wellness Bible penned in 1961 by a rogue American doctor, Halbert Dunn, who campaigned for a new understanding of health as a positive thing, rather than simply an absence of disease. Way ahead of its time, the book taught that wellness was achieved through a holistic approach, including not only the mind, body, and spirit, but also environment and community.
I summarize all my work with 6 words. The currency of wellness is connection. We're connected with people, we're connected with the physical world, with the mental, emotional world, with our sense of the divine, all of those connections. And so much of the negative things that people get into that they would come to see us about, from alcoholism or any kind of addiction or violence or depression, they're all based on lack of connection. So if we focus on connection and a healthy connection, everything else drops out. It's fundamental to me, and that's where I've gone with wellness.
So it seems as though wellness was kind of, a movement in the 70s, and now it's turned into such an industry. And how do you feel about that? Do you think it's positive, or?
Well, there's both sides of it. You've got to generate income. So I don't blame people for generating income. And now that the word is popular, of course, everyone, there's a wellness center on every corner. But I've been fighting a 30-year battle to get Halbert Dunn's ideas out into the world. And now if you Google wellness, you get a dog food. What he set out for wellness in the 50s when he wrote it,
right,
we still aren't there. We're not even close.
Oh, really?
No. It turned into an industry. Now it's selling products, and
totally.
When you have a problem, you have to treat it. But you don't treat wellness, you learn and grow and expand.
I think, myself included, people just want results so fast.
Well, it's the medicalization of wellness that happened in the 80s, and it's commercialism, and it's a natural process of ideas get put out, and then how do we make money on them? And people are making money on it, but it's lost the flavor that Halbert Dunn identified. Wellness was not a lucrative business. My first wife was expecting me to be a rich doctor, and that didn't work, and neither did our marriage.
Snorted away.
A snort break.
2 little piggies talk about wellness.
Before starting out on my journey, I wanted to check in with another Californian wellness pioneer, a woman who's got a lot to answer for when it comes to how I turned out. My first wellness coach, my mom.
She's got the longest legs. Story of my life, trying to catch up with her always. So we're in Long Beach, which is where you grew up. Born and raised. I would come here in the summers.
It was important for me to have my French-born daughter have as much as California in her as possible.
And I think I feel very connected to California. I think it makes sense that at this point in my life I've come back here. I think I've always really liked it, and I have a very strong California gene of yours.
Good,
right?
It worked.
I mean, you are a huge influence on me in terms of wellness. How did you embark on your wellness journey? And
So arriving in high school, when you start making choices, I became a vegetarian and started reading all the books that everybody's reading still today.
because it's kind of trendy in the 70s.
Yeah, surfer hippies were into eating well and starting to meditate and fast and do things like that. And I always kept that. And I like to think that I brought it to you and into your life.
I love the story of you in Long Beach and the Jack in the Box, that food chain.
This was like in 71, and it was right on the coast. And Jack in the Box at the time had these big, tall heads that you could find Jack in the Box of fast food from far away. And we thought it was ruining the line of the sea. I don't know how it went, but we got the head lowered, and actually I noticed it's not even the head anymore. It's a square with a little clown on it that says
Good
Jack
job,
in the Box.
Mom. Corporations, man. You know, moving from here to Paris, there must have been a huge gap.
When I moved there, there wasn't the fast foods that there are now.
Yeah.
That's something that's new there. And the food is fresher than here.
Yeah.
I was in heaven.
Yeah.
It was like one big health food store. When I arrived, there was nobody overweight. Everybody walks, everybody eats 3 meals a day. They don't snack because they enjoy their meals, and I think that is happiness.
What do you think I can improve, and what would you like me to learn?
I think loving every bit of yourself and your road that you've traveled up to now, forgiving anything, accepting everything, and being happy where you're at right now so that you can be ready for the next step and just living right now.
Yay!
You're so sweet that you include your mom.
So that's me ready to head off on my odyssey. Join me next time when I'll be taking a fresh look into the worlds of diet and nutrition through the lenses of science and psychology. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the British Vogue YouTube channel and leave comments on my knees and my feet.